Am I the a-hole for getting a 15-year-old kid and his dad arrested on felony charges? Early February, my bike was stolen from a cafe in broad daylight. A friend told me they found my bike listed on Marketplace, and sure enough, there it was. They'd stripped the stickers, saddlebags, lights, basically anything easy to remove and identifiable, but I could still tell it was mine. I messaged them asking if they still have it, and say yes. We agreed to meet up at a truck stop with the friend who tipped me off about the listing to look at the bike. I ask her about it. She has no idea about anything regarding the bike, claiming she's selling it for her son. After a few minutes of stringing her along and pretending to inspect the bike, I say, "Oh yes, this is the bike that your son stole from. Restaurant. I'll be taking it back now." She screams that we're robbing her, tries to create a scene, and then my friend calls the cops for real. Cops arrive and question both parties, but she avoids responsibility by feigning ignorance, although the son is arrested for grand larceny. 2 days later, the kid's father calls me. My number was listed publicly on my Facebook, and tries to talk me into dropping the charges because this would ruin his life and kids make mistakes. I tell him that the situation is no longer in my control, lie, and then he tries to convince me to put in a good word for his son in hopes of leniency. I shut him down immediately, and he proceeds to get angry, yell at me for a bit, and threaten me if I don't do as he asks, oblivious to the fact that the conversation is recorded. I turn the recording over to the police, and Dad is arrested for intimidating a witness. The next day, the mother calls me from a blocked number and tries to talk to me, but as soon as she identifies herself, I tell her to off and not call me again, or I'll be reporting her to the police as well, and she hangs up. She then contacts my wife via Facebook, sending a massive wall of text claiming that I'd ruined her son's life over nothing and how she and her children were going to be out on the street because they relied on their husband's income. My wife is now upset and thinks I took the situation too far, as do most people I've told about this, but I disagree. I don't think my actions were unreasonable. This isn't a little kid making a mistake because they don't know the difference between right and wrong. This is a teenager that stole something because he's a little bastard, and a family that not only didn't make the kid do the right thing, but willfully participated in concealing and trying to profit off their child's criminal behavior. They're shitty people, and I don't feel any remorse for giving shitty people what they deserve. Update. I did not expect to receive 3,000 comments. I can't really read or reply to them all. Here, I try to answer some general things I've seen repeatedly. I called the PD today, and they said I couldn't drop the charges even if I wanted to, so there's that. I'm not very familiar with, or fond of, the legal system or the police, which is part of why I tried to avoid involving them in the first place. Take your number off of Facebook. My FB is associated with my business. They got the number from that page, not my actual profile. Never had an issue until now, and I don't plan to change anything based on the actions of some random sociopaths. You shouldn't have set up a half-assed sting operation. It is illegal to record a phone call. It was a good sting operation. But besides that, my local police are notorious for not giving a fuck about property crime. I mean, sure, I should have reported it to them, I guess, or I could not have to cross my fingers, pray the cops actually did something, and avoid the hassle of the thieves selling it or it getting locked in evidence. I also live in a one-party consent state, so as soon as I figured out who it was, I recorded the call because I thought it was strange that this man looked up my contact information and called me. Grand larceny for a bike? $2,500 bike, $500 is the cutoff in my state that separates a misdemeanor from a felony. You have thousands to drop on a bike, ivory tower, ruining their lives over a bike, blah blah blah. If you think that being able to save $2,500 for a hobby means you're so rich that you can afford to let people steal your stuff, I don't even know. If you smoke cigarettes, drink beer, smoke weed, or eat out regularly, you are most likely spending $2,500 a year on discretionary income. In regard to ruining their lives, I didn't intend to involve the police in the first place, but after the mother started a scene, which attracted the attention of onlookers that lost interest upon realizing what was happening, my friend called the police out of fear that if he didn't, we'd be suspected of being thieves ourselves. But for all of those who are chastising me for being pissed off about having my bike stolen, I hope you can maintain this saintly attitude when you're in the same situation, and not when it's your $2,500 investment, the center of your hobby, that's been stolen. Insert race, class baiting here. The family are white, lower middle class source. sports, but since so many people are hung up on race, I guess I'll add my 0.02. Growing up as a half Mexican kid, that passes for full Mexican if I've got a tan, in a hillbilly town in Texas. My parents taught me not to break the law because the police are racist. Also, in regard to stealing to survive, being poor is a valid excuse to rob people. I don't care to discuss this either. Reporting the dad shows that you're trying to be vindictive. I didn't report him to be an asshole. I reported him because he called me and threatened me after he realized that negotiating wasn't an option. I'd rather not play stupid games with idiots and end up having a shootout at the OK Corral. Thanks. You should report the mom. Why didn't she get arrested? I don't care to do so, but even if I did, he didn't make threats. Just sent a wall of text guilt trip, so I'm not sure if it would even be an offense. I can only assume she didn't get arrested due to some combination of the fact that she cooperated and indifference on the part of the police. Being a middle-aged, middle-class-looking white lady probably also had something to do with it. She feigned ignorance, claimed to not realize anything was suspicious. I suppose that's possible, as the bike is very plain, and I could see how someone not in the know about cycling wouldn't be able to pick it out. But the whole context of the situation makes it difficult for me to believe she legitimately had no clue what was going on. How did you know it was yours? Not a common bike, and there were still aftermarket components left on the core of the bike that hadn't been messed with.